interact with you and cause certain changes one way or the other, depending on how you are approaching it.
For example, Saturn is Shani, is the god spoken about in the Puranas.
No, it's not like that. So God means not in the God. So these are grahas.
Is the Devta spoken about in the poem?
Devatas are higher than this. Devata means if you say Shiva or Ganpati, they're much higher than this.
Okay.
So
This is just personification of the planets.
Personification, correct word. Okay. Personification of the planets. Let's look at it that way. Okay.
And it has certain effects.
It can have effects if you approach it in a certain manner, positive and negative both. It is an accumulation of, right, as you said, the birth chart gives you an accumulation of what karmas you might have done till that point of time. Okay. Now what happens, as I was mentioning in the other podcast, is that 99% of the people, I think, I don't know whether I mentioned it. So 99% of the people lead their life just as a reaction to actions they have performed. So when I get a question from somebody that what is the purpose of my life, I'm afraid to say out of 100 people, 99 have no purpose. You are just reacting to things that have happened. That's all. Okay. Purpose and all that comes in later. For very few people, they have it. Most are just, what purpose? You finish school, you go into college, then you work, then you get married, then you have kids, then you grow older, then you die. So that's all. कौन सा purpose है? So it's just reaction. Sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are sad. There's that and all that. So what happens, what I mean by that is that because of the momentum of actions you have done, more or less your destiny is, in broad lines, it is set. Which means that if you look at a horoscope at the moment of birth and it is indicating, suppose, that this person will have a bad marriage. Okay. There are almost 99 to 100% chance that he will go through bad relationships or marriage in the context of the times. Okay. Say context of the times means, suppose in say 500 years ago, somebody is seeing a chart and saying that your spouse is going to die. Okay. 500 years ago, we did not have divorces and all that as much. So today, spouse will not die, but divorce ho jayega, something like that. Okay. So more or less, that's what I mean is that because the accumulated momentum of karmas are such that the chart kind of 80 to 90% will sort of give you a broad indication of where it is going, and it will happen that way. The intensity may differ, but the basic lines are kind of set, because at any given point, a person is not alone, or he is not outside of time. There is a past and there is the future. The pressure from the past and the pull from the future is what makes you at this moment in time. And only Kal Bhairav can take you out of time.
Okay. Before we go into a very deep conversation about Kal Bhairav and how deities are also a part of this, again, I have to boil it down to the ABCs here. Do you want to talk about the 12 houses right now? Or do you want to talk about the planets and all the effects?
Yeah, sure. But before that, there's one more small aspect that needs to be mentioned. So there are 3 types of karmas, more or less. Okay. For easy understanding. And it plays a part in the Jyotisha, and it's relevant to the question of how your birth chart affects you. Okay. So first is, there's one part of the karma that is drira. Drira means fixed. Okay. Certain combinations can indicate in certain individuals, it may not be in everybody, that some karma is fixed. Fixed karma means you just have to bear with it. You can't do anything about it. It cannot be changed. You will have to face it. Nobody in the world can change it. Then there is some part of the karmas which are drira adrira, which means that fixed and unfixed. Which means basically, fundamentally, it translates to this, that if you do some kind of upaya pariharam means some specific mantras or some puja, etc., depending on the horoscope, there is a chance that part of it will be negated, and maybe certain, say, intensity was coming at 10, it comes down to 3 or 2 or something. It's more bearable. Okay. And then the third is the adrira, which is not fixed. Not fixed karmas are just showing a tendency. They're very easy to change. You don't need to chant or do any ritual. All you need is a strong mind. You just want the willpower. Using your willpower, you can change it. So these are 3 types of karmas that will reflect in a horoscope.
I've been advised not to understand the laws of karmas that deeply.
Okay.
By Gauranga Das Prabhu. He was on the show last week.
Okay.
And when I kept deep diving into questions related to karma, he said, don't try understanding it fully. he spoke about these things. He spoke about prarabdha karma and all those aspects as well. But he's like, in the Gita, there's a part that says karma is such a complex subject to understand that you'll go crazy if like you try understanding the.
I have a different perspective of this. So what I think that aspect is, so karmana gahana gati, there's a particular phrase in the Gita. So currents of karma are very deep. Yes, that is true to the extent that if you want to find out that I am sitting here and I suddenly have a headache, what is the karmic reason for me to get a headache? You will not find that reason. Because there might have been something. But what I am talking about is something that is very fundamental to understanding Jyotish. Okay, there's nothing the way I look at it. So these three, if you don't understand, you will not understand that why is it that certain things can be changed and certain things cannot be changed. And I just remembered, I think I had read one of those cartoon strips long back. I used to read Kelvin and Hobbes, and he makes this wonderful statement. I forgot that, God give me the strength to what cannot be changed, that you enjoy it, or something like that. It's a very fantastic line that was there. So there are certain aspects which you can't change in certain individuals. Okay. There are certain combinations. And I've seen that in the course of when I have done readings and all that. These days I do very less, but when I've done them, so that nobody can change. It doesn't matter. You can go to all the temples in the world, go to every single spiritual person in the world, every person, jayega hi nahi, hoga hi nahi.
If you're only meant to live for 39 years of your life, you'll die at age 39. That's one example of something like this.
Let's say sort of, it depends. It's not that simple.
Okay.
There are certain combinations of grahas which, if present, and I'll not go into details of that, because the problem with astrology though is that right about when you start combinations, everybody opens their chart first thing. Okay. That's the last thing you should do, because you will never be objective when you are doing your own analysis. You have to learn from other people. Okay. People with whom you have no emotional connect. That will give you the lesson. Anyway, so certain combinations are there which, if present, it indicates that it's a very fixed karma.